Can you keep a secret?
Germany means everything. You know that. We have to be so careful. Where'd you get this?
Found it.
I am not willing to bathe my hands in the blood of hundreds of thousands of soldiers.
The presentation isn't much. I thought the writing was brilliant.
Found it where?
In my typewriter.
Karl, the Fuhrer is killing Germany.
Germany's doing fine.
One person is arrested and the entire family is in danger.
What are you doing with the leaflets? Getting rid of them. Mailboxes, phone booths, shop windows. We've been taught our whole lives to tell the truth. That's what I'm doing.
How do you know they're not lying to us? What are you talking about? Germany?
You heard what Rudolph has said. You think he's lying too? We can change things, not with guns, with words.
I've got a lot of work. Do you mind if I borrow the typewriter?
Good evening. Welcome, everybody. You just saw a trailer for what is our torch, our proof of concept for this limited series based on Helmut Hubner. My name is John Foss. To my left, I've got
Russ Kendall.
Yeah,
Matt Whitaker.
writer director Matt Whitaker. We're so happy that you're joining us tonight. Welcome, everybody. I think we've got a lot of platforms at play here: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And the app. Yeah. So welcome, everybody. To our loyal fans, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And to those of you who are new to us, welcome. We're so happy to have you here tonight. As I said, this is a limited series, four-part limited series based on the incredible true story of Helmut Hubner. He led a very small resistance group in Hamburg, Nazi Germany in 1944, and he did it at great cost. And we've been inspired by the story for a very long time, and we're just so happy to bring it to you and to share this story with you and the world. For those of you who have already partnered with us, thank you so much. We're so happy to do this together with you as well. I guess we've got a really fun announcement tonight, which is that our investment round is open. So if you would like to invest in this, you can. You can go to angel.com/truth, where you can find out more and get involved. Anything else to add to that? No?
I think so. Yeah, join us.
Come and join us. Tonight's live stream is themed with this idea that with moving forward, you know, it's great to kind of just take stock, you know, where we've been, and that's kind of how we've structured tonight's live stream, where we're going to look back a little bit at some of the live streams that we've done before, some of the other content that we've created together. And so we just want to reflect with you and involve you in this process. Again, if you don't know about the project, it'll give you a great taste of what this is all about. But then looking ahead, we also want to share with you basically a plan. You know, we've talked about this before, but kind of like what we're looking forward to doing within the next year.
Yeah. Mind if I jump on in?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we're really excited. There's a lot of momentum happening, not just with the crowdfund, but on a number of fronts that's allowing us to set some goals, to look forward, like John said. And we are looking towards this fall to begin a soft prep, to begin hiring a casting director, to look at explore different casting options, check availability of actors, with the goal of filming next year, early in 2024. We're excited. One of the things we've mentioned before, and for those joining us now for the first time, we have an incredible partner in Lithuania. That's where we plan on filming, and it's called Baltic Film Services. Previously, we filmed 2 motion pictures in Lithuania. Another World War II picture called Instrument of War, and we filmed an adaptation of a Leo Tolstoy short story called Winter Thaw, and had an incredible experience in Lithuania with the Lithuanian crews and just the amazing infrastructure they have. This particular company, speaking of Tolstoy, they also produced, or were the production company for the BBC's War and Peace. They worked on Stranger Things, Chernobyl, the HBO miniseries, which was fantastic. So we're excited to get back there with our friends in Lithuania and an incredible production partner. We're looking at beginning pre-production there in country January 8th, if everything goes as planned, 2024. We'll have about 10 weeks of pre-production, prep in country, where we'll be securing locations, we'll be building sets, building costumes, props, getting everything ready to go, and get cameras rolling by March. We anticipate a 9-week shoot, which would end us around mid-May, and as soon as we finish up, we'll get right into post-production, the editing, sound mixing, all of that, composing the score, with a goal of releasing the first episode by October 27th of 2024. And that's an important date for us. That's a date that Helmut Hubner, 81 years ago, come this October 27th, next year, it'll be the 81st anniversary of him sacrificing his life, giving his life for what he believed in and standing up for truth. And so we think it appropriate to aim for that date to release this series. A couple different ideas in play to release the first episode, perhaps with the second episode theatrically, which we think would be a great way to jumpstart this. So very excited about it. We invite you to join us on this amazing journey to tell this story. And the best way to do that right now is to go to angel.com/truth and become an investor and help us bring this to fruition. And you're not donating, you're not, it's not a Kickstarter where you're getting a free t-shirt. You're coming on as an investor, as a partner with us. And if it's the show succeeds, which we believe it will, we will all succeed together and tell an incredible story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Can I
go for it.
just hopping in here, just looking at that schedule that you just outlined. And we have been at this for a while, and part of the, an important part of the process is raising the financing to be able to make a movie. This isn't as inexpensive as creating a painting or something like that. Our art form costs a lot of money, and so we've been at this process for quite some time. Obviously, so many of you have been an important part of that, but we're all really looking forward to looking back on that part of the process and actually the creative part of casting those actors and rehearsals and getting in with the cinematographer and figuring out how are we going to shoot this scene and just all those kinds of things, which we get so excited about. So
that's why we became filmmakers, and storytellers, right?
It is, and yes, of course, the financing is an important part of it. There it is on the screen, angel.com/truth. You can go there to invest, but yes, then the creative part. Yeah, I'm ready.
I mean, like Russ was talking about, the incredible people who have partnered with us, where we're going to shoot this series. If you'd like, again, at angel.com/truth, that's where you can find a little bit more information about who's involved, kind of their resume, what they've done before. We're really putting together a fantastic team, and we're just really, really grateful for everybody coming and getting involved, which includes you. Just a little throw to your T-shirt here, Matt.
So I can get that there where people see it?
27/10/42 European dates, which is, Helmut's date of execution when he died. But just a little call there across the center to remember. And that's kind of like our joint kind of, I guess, commission, or kind of like a responsibility that we've all kind of taken on ourselves. Is, we were really good friends with Karl, one of Helmut's friends in the small resistance group. He passed away several years ago. But in a way, Helmut challenged Karl to never forget what they did, and Karl kind of extended that challenge to us. And we've been championing this story for a long time, and now we also champion this story together with you. So again, get involved if you can, angel.com/truth. That's where you can do it. Tonight's show, like I said, it's going to be a collection of great moments from our live streams, including some other material that we've put together. As was mentioned, we went to go visit Hamburg and Berlin, especially the prison camp where Helmut was taken, and then he eventually lost his life. We were able to go visit this place last October and create a couple short documentaries about kind of the last days of his life, including where he walked in Hamburg. And so we're going to show a couple of those clips with you tonight, including we'll have some very special guests, right? Some people who have gotten involved with us. They've got some things to say that we'll share with you. But we'll just start it off tonight with with a section from one of those mini docs. It's called "The Power of the Word." We've heard it before. The pen is mightier than the sword. Helmut, again, if you're not familiar with the story, what Helmut did was that he was able to write down the truth, what was actually happening during World War II, and he wrote it down on these flyers. And he got a lot of this truth from an illegal shortwave radio that he was able to tune into, and he heard BBC broadcasts in German, everything that was going on outside in the war, and this was conflicting with a lot of the news that he was hearing, in Germany. So he decided to take it upon himself to write down what he was hearing. And he wrote it on these small red pamphlets, and he went out at night to disperse these pamphlets. He got his friends involved. But we just have this one little clip that we'll play for you. It's, again, called The Power of the Word, of the Written Word. And
Can I just chime in on that, too? What I love about this clip, we were there, like you said, on the day, on the 80th anniversary, at the place where he was executed. So when we're even doing those interviews, we're all sitting just outside of the chamber, the execution chamber, which is now, of course, a national memorial. But that was the day. So being there on that day was powerful.
So we felt it. Mike, if you wouldn't mind, let's play that first clip.
Words mean something, and I feel like that's why Helmut's really important, because it really does underscore that what we say matters, what we say can change the world, what we say can help people, what we say can hurt people, and ultimately what we say can save people.
None of us can imagine a lifetime to live under that kind of duress, stress, and fear and danger constantly while he's dispersing flyers, while he's listening to the BBC, while he's doing the things that he felt were right. And so when I think about this day and what it means that 80 years ago his life was taken, I'm moved by the thought that he is not forgotten.
When he knew it was coming to an end, he says, I have no guilt. I will stand blameless before God. He knew he had done what he felt in his heart was right. And our world is better because of that.
Hallowed ground.
Yeah.
It really is. Every time, I mean, we've seen that a few times, but every time I see it, I still get a little lump in my throat. Remembering what it was like to be there, but also hearing, like what you said there at the end, that the world is a better place because of what this teenager did 80 years ago. That the world changed because of that. At first in a very small way, but now we're seeing the ripples from that going further and further out and getting bigger and bigger. And I just obviously we think it's fantastic. So,
Just a thought that comes to mind, and I don't think we're showing any of those clips tonight, but the fact that there are parks and schools and streets named after Helmut Hübner now. Hitler's not there anymore. There's no monuments, tributes, obviously, to him, but there is to this young man that took a stand for what he believed in.
Lasting legacy.
If you want to see, as John mentioned earlier, there are three, we call them mini docs, but 3 short 10-minute documentaries that were made from that experience when we were there last year. You just saw one small clip. You can go to angel.com/truth, click on the videos tab, or just scroll down to them, and you'll be able to see all 3 of those full documentaries. It was really just a beautiful experience, powerful experience to be able to be there. So, I know this next clip that we're going to show, it's titled The 20-Year Journey. And for those of you who have tuned in before or have been following us for a while, you probably have heard us talk about, they call it My 20-Year Journey, but we've been on this together for at least 18 of those 20 years. Right. And
we don't look that old, I know, right?
So young, so youthful.
It was actually in the spring of 2001 when I first met Karl-Heinz, the last surviving member of Helmut Hübner's resistance group, and went to his house, sat down with him for a few minutes, for about an hour, and he shared part of his story, and that changed my life. And I remember walking out of his house that day just saying, we have to do something with this. We have to find a way to share this story. And that's when this journey began. It was a couple months later on June 6th, 2001, when we finally brought Karl in with cameras rolling and interviewed him where he told his full story, and it was, you know, just so powerful, and still is, you know. And I know people can go to angel.com/truth and see that full documentary that we did. But anyway, it's been a journey getting to this point where we are right now. And a little while ago, they sat me down in front of a camera. We don't love being on this side of the camera, I should point that out. But
he does. Occasionally.
Give
me a script.
He's better at it than I am, for sure. But just to kind of share this 20-year journey that I and my wife and Ethan Vincent and these two incredible partners that we've been on, pushing a boulder up a hill to tell this story to the world. So, Micah, if you want to just cue that up, that'd be great.
I can remember telling my wife early on, you know, hon, this may take a couple of years. And 20 or so years later, we're finally getting close. So it's been a journey. Sometimes some of the best stories are the hardest ones to get off the ground. Some of those other projects that have taken, you know, years to finally get made. Forrest Gump, Martin Scorsese's Silence was another one that took a long time. I watched the limited series, The Queen's Gambit, and just thought it was fantastic. That project had been in development for about 30 years. You know, the original script was written back in the 80s, and then that idea came up, hey, let's make this into a limited series instead of a movie. And I took real inspiration from that because that's been our experience on Truth and Conviction. Over 20 years ago, I started writing this script. I had done a documentary for PBS, but it was actually while we were editing the documentary that I started writing the script for a feature film. At the time, I was calling it Truth and Treason. Partnered up with Ethan Vincent in late 2002, early 2003, and started really kind of writing in earnest together. And that's where it really took off. Before that, I was writing pages, but when we started working together is when it really took off. This is what I affectionately refer to as the writing room. I've spent thousands and thousands of hours in this room. So 21 years ago, I came into this room and sat down and started writing the very first words of the script for Truth and Conviction. It really is a big chunk of my professional career has been spent in this little space. Early mornings, late nights for about the next 2 years. By early 2005, we had a script, and it was cool because we immediately got interest from a big producer in LA. But he wanted to bring on a different director, and at that stage I was like, great, yeah, we're the writers. It was in August of 2005 where I just had this experience where I just felt really strongly, you know what? I'm supposed to make this movie and I'm supposed to direct this movie. 17 years later, here we are. I think it was like September, early October of 2005. We got the rights back to the script. The next steps really were finding an attorney so that we could put together a private placement memorandum and an operating agreement and a subscription agreement. From 2005 to 2007, that's really what we were doing. It was in 2006 that Russ and I actually went over to London and had a casting session. We had some names, some actors that at the time nobody knew, just actors like, Robert Pattinson, who came in and auditioned for the film. And there was Andrew Garfield, who had also auditioned for the part. And it was funny because my notes were not much there. So I missed that one. We ended up getting an actor attached to the project who is arguably one of the best actors of his generation. For legal reasons, I can't say his name, but you could use your sixth sense to try and figure out who it is. That was in 2007, and we were really thinking, okay, here we go, we've got this. And then the world housing market collapsed.
Down 1.7% here, a loss of 37 points or so. Apple shares are just
investors recoiled and pulled their money out, and this project that we thought was this close to happening just kind of collapsed. That was some down times, for sure. That was a tough one. Thank heavens for my wife saying, yes, we can. Let's keep going. We're still doing this, right? We're still making your movie, right? I can't tell you how many times I've heard that question. We're still making your movie, right? Between 2011, 2015, still always had this project on a back burner, but a lot of my time in that period was focused on working with this ad agency. I'd been with them kind of for a couple years, and one night my wife and I were talking, and she said to me, do you still feel like you're supposed to make this movie? And I said, yeah, I do. And then she said, then what are we doing? It took me about a year to find the courage to quit my great job that I really loved at that ad agency and dive back in 100%. And so we started down that road again and started building this package and the millions that it takes to make this kind of a movie. And then a global pandemic hit and investors pulled back out again.
China has identified the cause of the mysterious new virus.
Coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
There are fears a rapidly spreading virus has reached Australia.
And it was during this time when we started having meetings with Angel Studios. And then I remember in that first meeting that I was in with them that Jeff Harmon said, but we think it should be a series. I can remember just thinking, no, we've got a great script. We know we can attach, big talent to this script. This is a movie that, people are going to go see in the theaters. Kept going with that meeting, and about 10 minutes later, in my mind, something just clicked. And I just saw this 4-part limited series of this story. And I saw episode 1, it goes from here, and that's the ending there. Episode 2, and we've got this great cliffhanger, and there's episode 3. But I knew, they're right, this is a 4-part series. I actually went home and started writing a script. From my perspective, after more than 20 years of trying to push a boulder up a hill, literally more than 100 drafts of the script. I don't know how many thousands of pages that Ethan and I have written. We're finally on the cusp of actually getting this made. I'm actually not sure how to feel. I'm almost a little bit gun shy, and that's the honest truth.
So fun to see you so young and youthful as you still are.
A couple of those photos of Ethan Vincent and I, the co-writer, sitting in our little writing room, which is where I still have no windows, but we spent hours and hours and hours, hundreds, probably thousands of hours, either in that room or over at his writing room at his house.
You guys would get up really early before you'd go and work on other projects.
Yeah, so this was the we still had our day jobs, which was making movies, which is a 12-hour day when you're in production. And so we would get up, 4 in the morning, work for a couple hours, go on a full shoot day, and then get back together about 10 p.m. that night and just write through the night. And yeah, it was, there were some tough times, but also there was this real energy, energy about getting it made, this real drive to get it made. So anyway, I said at the end there, we're on the cusp now. Yeah. And even since we shot that, we're a lot closer, which is really, really rewarding to be able to say we're getting there. We're really close. And again, to look at the prospect of being able to be casting this year and shooting early next year if the final financing comes in. So
yeah, that's great. It's not uncommon, as you probably are well aware, that filmmakers have passion projects that they've worked on for years. We can think of a couple TV shows that have done that, like Queen's Gambit, and Scorsese's film Silence was like something he worked on for a long time.
Forrest Gump was about 10, 15 years,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And of course, we've worked on, like Matt was saying, lots of other movies and TV shows along the way, but this is the one that's just stuck around and one that we've just felt so passionate about. So I love that you were able to produce that, that little behind the scenes in the making. Again, if you want to see that and more, go to angel.com/truth, and that's where you can find that video and a lot more.
I think as we're saying, I mentioned earlier, we have an amazing partner in Baltic Film in Lithuania.
Yeah.
We've also really excited about other partners that have joined us just within the last couple months, within the last year. And one of those who you may have been introduced to on our last live stream was John Irwin. John is a producer, director, writer, most recently known for Jesus Revolution, which is just played in theaters and did incredibly well. It's a wonderful film. His career kind of jump started with I Can Only Imagine, He's done American Underdog, just an amazing, very faith-based,
Yeah.
very driven by
Inspirational,
conviction.
true stories, yeah.
Yeah, and just stories that, like Angel does, amplify light.
Yeah.
And so he read the 4 episode screenplays and said, I want to join you guys. And so we're really excited that John Irwin has joined as an executive producer on the project. We look forward to collaborating with him on this. And, we've had a number of other folks come on board. Matt, you had a chance to sit down with the piano guys and chat with them, and they've, done some fun spots for us, and maybe we can, take a look at one of those and then we'll chat about piano guys. So.
Yeah. Are we going to show John Irwin first, or are we going to show...
Oh, we have a
piano
short
guys?
clip there, yeah.
I think
TV.
we've got a clip.
Yeah, let's see it, thank you.
There's
John
nothing
first.
better than telling really meaningful stories with great people. And true stories are a unique obsession for me. I just love them, and I love this story, and I love the team that you've built, and it's an honor to be a part of anything like this. I think it's a privilege to entertain at all, but when you can do it with a story that can be meaningful to people and life-changing, it's just it's unbelievable. My kids, my oldest is 14, and we have 4. It's 14 and 12 are my 2 oldest, and a story that says that they can make a difference in the world, and that they can discover the truth and have conviction about what they discover, and then even at great cost, steward that truth and be a voice. That is very meaningful to me. And you just make stories based off where you are in life, and that's where I am. I want to be a part of stories that tell my kids that they can make a difference, and they can stand up for what's true, and they can stand up for what's right, even when it comes at a cost. It's worth it. Well, let's. I hope to see you on the set of Truth and Conviction as soon as humanly possible, and let's get this thing made. And honored to be a part of it, and it's a worthy story to tell, and grateful to be on the journey with you and your team, and support your vision for it. And I can't wait to see how the story unfolds. Let's get it made. Let's get it made soon.
So, John, if you're watching, that was so much fun to chat with you just a few weeks ago about that. I love, John brings up that he's got a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. He's got 4 kids, but those are his oldest. Right. And one of his reasons for wanting to get involved and get this series made is because he wants his teenagers to see this, and to see that example. So I just loved hearing that.
Yeah, same boat. I mean, I've got my oldest is 16. I've got a son turning 14 this year. Just to imagine, sitting down with them to watch this series together, seeing themselves in the story that we're going to tell. I just think it's so exciting as a dad, So
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
A couple other dads that are excited about this project. The piano guys.
Piano guys.
John and Stephen. And John actually has a very tight connection to the story.
Yeah, his mom was best friends with Helmut Hübner, Karl-Heinz, and especially Rudy Voba.
Yeah.
Rudy and John Schmidt's mom were boyfriend and girlfriend. And so she knew them very well. She remembers seeing them at church, and they'd be whispering together and talking and like planning something. And she would ask them, what are you guys talking about? Oh, we can't tell you. We can't tell you. We know now what she knows now. She learned, of course, later what they were talking about. So when the piano guys found out about our project, and of course John found out about our project, and he was so interested for the family connection. Stephen was so interested because of the musical connection and Mendelssohn, and that's one of the things that will be, it's part of the story, such an important part of the story. So anyway, they did a nice little, are we starting with the call to action from them?
Okay. See like that
yeah.
one.
So they did so much fun. They're just fun to hang out with. They're the real deal. And so we shot some stuff with them, some fun stuff. Go ahead and check this one out.
I'm John Schmidt.
Stephen Sharp Nelson, we're the piano guys, and we are so excited to announce that we're teaming up with the TV series Truth and Conviction in order to bring to life a story that needs to be told. Tell them about this story.
Absolutely. This is a story of a German teenager named Helmut Hübner who stood up to Hitler in World War II, and I have a family connection. My mom was his friend way back in 1941.
This is a heroic story, right? And
Absolutely.
Even more than that, and these are the kind of stories that need to be told, that our kids need to inspire them. This is the role model that they need to know that they can stand up for things too, right?
Absolutely.
And become the best that they could be. So I love that we're dads, so we love finding stories like this, and we've never really done something like this before, teaming up with a project like this, but
Because we believe in it.
Yeah, we were compelled to.
This is a story that needs way more than 90 minutes, and I'm so glad that it's going to be a mini-series, and it's
Yeah.
the same people that did The Chosen.
Now, here's the cool part, though. Just like The Chosen, you can be a part of this. Go to angel.com/truth to back this project.
And get part of the equity
That's
as
right.
well.
We got to get back to practicing.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That's better, yeah. Ooh, yeah, No.
That's funny, guys. Those guys are, they're great. Just really genuine guys. And we saw a couple folks out there shooting us, sending us some words of encouragement and support, and we appreciate that. I saw Helen and Michael, Ryan, Sydney, Ophelia. I was trying to scribble them down quickly, so thank you. And if we missed anybody, just know how much we appreciate your support. And you know, if you want to continue supporting, you can go to angel.com/truth. And you can invest in the project there. And again, we thank you. You know, this has been a journey that, you know, like you mentioned, been on a long time, and we're committed to, and we're thrilled to share it with those that are seeing the power in this story. Yeah. And so, another one of those, and I realize there's a lot of dudes named John that we're talking about here. Now we're going to introduce John Ondrasik. He's also known as Five for Fighting. Yeah. He's written songs like Superman. 100 years. John is incredibly involved with supporting the troops. He's been involved supporting the efforts in Ukraine. And just an incredible man that sees a noble cause and will put his celebrity on the line to do something about it. Yeah. And he's a good friend of ours, and we appreciate his support on the project. He did a little spot for us, and should we take a look at it?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
love it.
Hey guys, John from Five for Fighting here to tell you about a project that is very close to my heart. It's a story about freedom, sacrifice, heroism, and also very timely considering the state of the world right now. It's a 4-part TV series called Truth and Conviction, which tells the story of Helmut Hübner, a German resistance fighter who, when his friend went missing, started writing notices calling out Hitler. Tragically, he was captured and killed. Helmut was a teenager, a young man who died for freedom. The other cool thing about this project in my mind is it's being made by some folks I know, some good friends of mine. Kaleidoscope Pictures. Some of you maybe have seen our Christmas special, Christmas Under the Stars. Maybe you saw me sing on their songwriter series, Grace Notes. They do great work. They're working with the director, Matt Whitaker. This has been his passion project for 20 years. Not only will it be a great story to show the world, it'll be great to remind our children, our youth, that there is a sacrifice for freedom, and that freedom has a cost, and learn about these heroes. They're also wise enough to make the project not gratuitous, something that you can sit with your 13, 14-year-old, watch and learn, and not be worried about maybe seeing some content that they shouldn't see. I think, as I said, with what's going on in Ukraine, Iran, Taiwan, go down the list, it's really important we remind everybody, but particularly our kids, the cost of freedom. That's why I'm so supportive of this project. If you want, you could also invest and be a part of it. So if you want to check it out, please go to angel.com/truth. You don't have to invest, but just look at it. See, maybe it'll strike a chord with you. Certainly, we all have a part to play in this fight for freedom around the world. So check out Truth and Conviction. Angel.com/truth. Let me know what you think. History starts now.
Cool.
Love that. History starts now. I have to say, you know, obviously it's so cool having Five for Fighting as a partner on this project. I never would have imagined when I was listening, I was just on a repeat listening to Superman when that first came out, and especially after 9/11, when it just really became it became an international anthem, this song, and I was just so taken by it, and I never would have thought that, a number of years later, we'd be hanging out with John Ondrasik with Fight for Fighting, and that he would be such an ardent supporter of this project. So again, thanks, John, if you're out there, if you're watching tonight, thank you, and we're grateful for your support. And to everyone else, again, if you would like to look at investing, go to angel.com/truth, and that's where you can do it. There's also a lot of other really cool things on that landing page. So yes, that is where you can go to invest, but you can find out a lot of information about the story, about the background, about our backgrounds, and kind of everybody who's involved, and lots of other videos that we're not going to even show parts of tonight. So again, angel.com/truth. And so we showed a little clip from the Piano Guys, but they came in for a live stream.
Yeah, that's right.
Last fall.
Right over here, right?
Yeah, we just shot just right behind us here, with a piano, and of course Stephen brought his cello, and where we got to really just kind of, I got to sit down with them and just kind of talk through their connection to the story. They came prepared to play a Mendelssohn piece, which was just beautiful. But we had just a really cool conversation together. And Micah, can we cue that up? Can we just show another Piano Guys clip? I'd love for everybody to see that.
We're musicians, certainly, but before that, we're husbands, we're dads. We're dads, we're concerned dads with watching what our youth are having to go through and what they're trying to be force-fed via social media, and to see stories like this and know they need to be told and know they can be inspirational to our children and the upcoming generation is so compelling to us that we felt as if we were already a part of this even when we started talking the first time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and and that's what I'm hoping, that people, as they learn the intricacies of this story and how incredible it is, they will want to be a part of this too, just like we did.
Yeah, I remember initially being stunned to find out that Jewish composers were banned. You couldn't. That it was, it was dangerous to your life actually to listen to a composer like Mendelssohn.
And for those of you who aren't as familiar with Mendelssohn's work, you would recognize a lot of the compositions. In fact, many times at the end of a wedding, you'd hear his da 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 dun 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 from the Midsummer Night's Dream, and he also hark the herald angels sing. Oh, really? That's his melody, and he is one of the best violin concertos ever written. And my little daughter, 14-year-old daughter Lucy, is learning that violin concerto right now. And it is incredible. It's one of the finest works that's ever been composed. And I get a little emotional because I think about my daughter not being able to play that piece. And we complain about our country sometimes, like it has its problems, and there's mud being slung one way and then the other. But we can listen to whatever music we want to listen to, and we're not at the point where we have banned certain composers because of their religious backgrounds. I think this is still a wonderful place to live, and I think America still has so much promise. And I'm grateful that we have that, and we take it for granted, but I'm grateful that composers like Mendelssohn is free play anytime. And he was born in Hamburg, which is where your parents were born. And which is where Helmut was born.
In fact, I remember thinking, we were talking about, the first time we talked on Zoom, you brought up, when we talked about Mendelssohn, you said his string octet.
Yes.
His string octet, which is just incredible.
It lit me on fire as a teenager, as about Helmut's age, playing that octet. I felt like I was, John also always talks about how music can make you feel like you're flying when you get to the right point. And I felt like I was flying when I was playing that octet. And you were tied to Mendelssohn. Now remind me how you were tied into Mendelssohn.
So my introduction to Mendelssohn is really my thread. I consider it a thread right back to Helmut, because Helmut loved Mendelssohn.
Yeah.
Part of his resistance was listening to Mendelssohn. He introduced it to Karl and Rudy, and then through my friendship with Karl, Karl introduced Mendelssohn to me, and I love
and you've fallen in
Mendelssohn. So for me, it is this direct little route back to this connection back to Helmut, and to think that when he wrote that octet we were talking about, Mendelssohn was 16 years old. 100 years later, more or less, Helmut was 16 years old when he was leading this resistance group. So, Helmut, his instrument that he picked up was the typewriter.
And then I grew up listening to it in my home.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and my father sung the German art songs.
Full circle, full circle. That's beautiful.
That was a great one.
Yeah, just again, so grateful to Stephen and John for their partnership and joining us on this project, and of course their musical and familial connections to this story run very, very deep. And so, just anyways, so many wonderful people who are coming on board, and of course that includes you. I would even say, is it okay to say especially that includes you, especially when we're engaged in a crowdfund campaign? I know that there are people watching tonight for the first time and thinking, gosh, this seems like a really good project. If you're thinking that, you can invest. You can go to angel.com/truth and become a partner in the project, along with John Irwin and John Ondrasik and John Schmidt, that's right, and John Foss, and any other John out there, you can be involved too.
If your name's John, get involved, okay?
It's an obligation.
Now, but with that, we can say the investment closes soon. So go check it out, angel.com/truth. You'll find out more there. But this is just part, this crowdfund, your involvement is just part of how we're going to do this together. We've got other sources that we're also able to partner on and make this project with, but we're just so excited to do this and make the invitation to you to get involved. I think that was kind of the run of the show, where we wanted to share all those clips and those pieces with you tonight.
One more highlight for them not to miss after we sign off, but
that's
we can
right.
tease that in a second.
There's one more. But we know we've heard from Micah that there were a handful of questions that have come in, so we just want to give a moment to some of these questions. Suni says, where will this limited series be played? Who would like to take that one?
Can I take it? I'll take it.
Go for it.
Yeah, there are great questions, Suni, thank you. Or Sunny, could be either of those. Hope we got one of those right. Yeah, this limited series will be playing on the Angel app and other possible or other streaming services that are showing a lot of interest in it. We are exploring the option of a theatrical release. So there will be a number of places where you can see it. We know for sure, obviously, that it'll be on the Angel app for free, but there will be a number of other places, Sonny, where you can see it as well. And of course, we'll keep everybody updated as new opportunities and additional venues become part of the plan.
Right. Great question. Thank you. Next one. Jerry says, will any of you cameo in this series? Up to the director here, really. I mean, is there...
I won't be, but I think these two would be great in it.
We should do that. We should, when we release it, we'll have like a game, Where can you spot Russ or John?
That's right.
Fun question. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Jenny says, will any of this be filmed in Germany?
That's a good question. Yeah, Jenny, thank you. We anticipate shooting some establishing shots in Germany, in the Hamburg area. But we'll be shooting in Lithuania. As we mentioned earlier, we've previously filmed 2 features in Lithuania, and when we were there filming those, we started looking around and realizing we could film this story there. It had, similar architecture to Germany, to Hamburg, and also, during World War II, Hamburg was, pretty much leveled, and so a lot of what is there now today is, new construction. But the thing that Lithuania doesn't have is the canals of Hamburg, and so that's something that we would definitely go to Germany beautiful. to get that authenticity. Yes, thank you, of the canals that are part of Hamburg.
Right.
So.
It was funny when, well, not funny, but fascinating to me when we went to, what was that school that we went to in Hamburg? It was
Helmut Hübner School.
Yeah, the Helmut Hübner, the trade school.
Yeah, the Staatsschule. I don't know, some long German word.
Yeah, it was a school where, trade school, and it was named after Helmut. And down the hallway, the main hallway, they had letters and things that were written about Helmut that he wrote himself. I mean, copies of them, of course. And one of them was a copy of a map of Hamburg, of like their route, where they would go during the night to spread these flyers. And it was so fascinating to see that this route led over these canals, right? In and out of these alleyways. Just to imagine these young kids, 16, 17 years old, plotting out their map at night so that they wouldn't get captured. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Michael says, is there a particular moment you are looking forward to filming? I'll look to you on that one.
Well,
man.
obviously there are a lot of them. I'm going to mention two real quick. The first one that comes to me, so the kind of the climax, of the series in the final episode, in episode 4, is Helmut standing in the highest court in Germany as now a 17-year-old young man, standing before a judge that had been appointed by Hitler, and it was a kangaroo court. It wasn't a fair trial at all. But this 17-year-old kid now got in the face of that judge and stood up, literally, physically, and metaphorically stood up to this judge and exposed his lies and did it knowing that he was sealing his fate. That really happened. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we're going to have the opportunity to film that event, that moment, with Helmut doing that and his two friends, Karl and Rudy, sitting there watching him do that, that's one that I'm nervous for it, but also just so grateful to be able to do that. Yeah. The other one is maybe a little bit on the other end of the spectrum, and that is that there is evidence that Helmut had a crush on a girl at his work. So he worked for the government, for the Nazis. So during the day, he would go and work for the Nazis, and at night he would go put out these anti-Hitler, anti-Nazi flyers. But there was a girl there that apparently he had a real crush on. So of course, as we have written these scripts, we've kind of developed that into we don't know a lot about what actually happened, but we've developed that. And so there's this girl named Ellie, and it's really fun to see how Helmut, who's becoming this at night, this really brave resistance fighter, doing incredibly courageous things, but during the day at the office, he still can't get up the nerve to ask her out. Yeah. And so just shooting that scene when he finally gets up the nerve to awkwardly ask out the girl he's got a crush on, I'm really looking forward to that scene too.
Yeah. That's one thing I love about this. I mean, there are some very heavy scenes, important scenes. I mean, he gave his life, and that's going to be, we've talked about what is that going to be like when we portray that. Yeah. But like you said, on the flip side of things, these were 3 teenage boys.
Teenagers, man.
They were out doing something courageous, but there's probably also this kind of sense of adventure that they had.
Yeah. Right.
And, they're like, your kids are teenagers now. Mine have passed that point, but, we've all been there, and there's that sense of invincibility. And, so there's that, which is also going to be really fun to portray. These were real kids, real young men that did something incredible. And just seeing that well-roundedness to their character, I think it's going to be really fun to portray, and something great for the acters to really sink their teeth into.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you look at that photo, you can kind of tell Karl is the one on the left there with the kind of cool looking shirt and tie. I see that there's a mischievous look in his eyes to me, and that was Karl. So it also to be able to shoot the scene when he sees that Hitler Youth kid picking on some of his friends, and Karl, the way he did it, he just hauled off and punched him and got kicked out of the Hitler Youth for it and everything. But these were teenagers, and that's a beautiful part of being able to tell this story. That's why we've been saying this is like Dead Poets Society meets Schindler's List in a way. The way this story, it does have that depth and that the sacrifice and the gravitas. But it also has the teenage reality of, hey, this is life, even in Nazi Germany. We're going to find a way to enjoy it.
Right.
So.
And I think it's easy also now to create a story like this and look back with our present values, and just say easy black and white. But the other thing that we're going to do in this series is capture the story of Musner, the SS agent that was just so dedicated and determined to capture this person who was distributing these flyers. And this was due to your research, historical research on this person, or this kind of person, they had normal lives. They would go home to a family, after spending a day maybe torturing somebody or doing something that was really nefarious. He would go home to a family, and he'd have a child, he'd have something that he'd come home to and answer to. So that is a dynamic that we're not going to shy away from, and really kind of present the complicated issue of what it was like back then. So just all due to your great writing and this 20-year journey, Matt.
Well, when you have a source like this, with a story like Helmut's, and like you say, like the Gestapo agent, when we found out, when we got those tapped wire, recordings of phone calls that he was making home to his wife, and being able to see and read what he was like as a husband and father, it was in one sense chilling, but also in another sense just really fascinating to think, yes, these were real people too. Even the bad guys were real people too, and like you say, we're not shying away from that in this series. In fact, I think we're exploring it and we're leaning into it.
That's right. As mentioned, this crowdfund round is closing soon, so if you'd like to get involved, you can. Go to angel.com/truth to do so and to find out more. But this pretty much, concludes our live stream tonight. But for one more video, we have what is called our torch. For those of you who know what that is, it's an 8-minute kind of proof of concept to the series. It's not the actual footage, but it's something that we shot to kind of present to you this world and this story. It is the highest rated torch video in Angel history so far. We may hold that title for a while. Who knows?
I think it's unbreakable.
It's unbreakable.
Just kidding.
But we definitely want to show that to you tonight after we sign off here. But we just want to close here by expressing our sincere gratitude to you. Thanks for spending some time with us tonight on a Monday evening. Thank you for watching from wherever you are. To our loyal fans, thank you to you. To our new fans, thank you. To those of you sitting on the fence, come join us. Please be a part of this with us. Anything else you guys would like to add?
No, just
thank you. Enjoy the torch video and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's roll it, Micah.
Have a good night.
Richtung Straße 12. Los! Los, Bewegung!
Solomon? Solomon.
am a German, and will always remain one. Nevertheless, I am not willing to bathe my hands in the blood of hundreds of thousands of German soldiers. And as long as these atrocities are quietly tolerated, Adolf Hitler will not rest in turning his plans for imperialistic world conquest into actions.
Powerful words from Rudolf Hess, former confidant and advisor to Adolf.
Can you keep a secret?
Where'd you get this?
Found it. The presentation isn't much, but I thought the writing was brilliant.
Found it where?
In my typewriter.
Where are we going? Helmut, I'm not following you around all night.
I didn't ask you to.
Helmut!
Did you know that Mendelssohn was 15 when he wrote his first symphony? 15, your age.
Well, that explains everything. What are you doing with the leaflets?
Getting rid of them. The same thing I've been doing for the past 2 months. In mailboxes, phone booths, shop windows.
Why?
Because I can't write music. We've been taught our whole lives to tell the truth. That's what I'm doing.
How do you know they're not lying to us? They're the enemy. They're the ones who are bombing us.
We bombed them first.
What are you talking about? Germany?
You heard what Rudolf Hess said. You think he's lying too? Karl, the Fuhrer is killing Germany and thousands of innocent people.
Killing Germany? Germany's doing fine.
Tell that to Solomon.
You weren't there. I stood in his empty apartment.
I saw the future of Germany. Solomon wanted to be a teacher.
And your flyers will fix all that.
A man finds this in his mailbox, reads it, can't get it out of his head, passes it to a friend at work, who passes it to another. We can change things. Not with guns, with words. We have to do something.